but I also read this article in the New York Times on Deshaun Watson, and I don't know, man. I will tell you what the money text is, what the one that is forever going to be used against him. So I saw this. Oof. Deshaun Watson told one of the massage therapists, he was just trying to support black businesses. Oh. Byer, have you read this story? You want me to send it to you?
I have it up here. I've read part of it, and read that there was a part where a Texans employee provided him with an NDA to give to one of the women who was threatening to go public with some of his transgressions before this all occurred. I did read that part of it, but I have not read the whole thing.
I have not finished the entire thing. I've been reading it. New York Times found that Watson booked appointments with at least 66 different women between the fall of 2019 and the spring of 2021. Wow. Okay, so I think we all have identified what was going on, right? And the question becomes a myriad of levels to it. One, how much of this did the women willingly participate in? Right? The idea of whether or not it was prostitution or not, I'm not going to get into it because there's a lot of plausible deniability in there for Watson. They haven't charged him with a crime. Okay, but the first thing is, and the police have, or not being indicted yet by the grand jury, leads you to believe that whatever levels of accusations there are about women not wanting that behavior, it hasn't led to the criminal level. So I guess I just ask you guys, what do you do? What do you do? Because, look, if you suspend him for a year, is this a year and he's got to do some sort of rehabilitation? I would guess that the point is. When you factor in what, I don't think that Rusty Hardin helped him. What Rusty Hardin did was what a lawyer should do in most real situations here. He's like, look, nothing criminal happened. Nothing criminal happened. And if there are no criminal charges, it's hard to dispute that. The problem with it is it continued to, it basically did say that this happened and that was his thing. And can you have a quarterback in the NFL who has 24 women saying they weren't into that? That wasn't what they signed up for. Granted, who knows the different levels of it with different women. But it doesn't matter. All it takes is really one to say I was violated, let alone enough of them where it looks bad. So now we have, I think, a pretty clear picture. I don't know, and neither does anybody else, what really happened, but we do get a sense of generally what his thing was and what he's gotten in trouble for. I'll ask you, Dan Byer. You haven't read the story. I haven't read the whole story. We've both read enough of it to go okay, all of these stories seem to be alike. And there are women in this story who aren't part of the lawsuits who said they had similar things happen. What do you do if you're the league? Dan?
I actually they were going to ask me what do you do with the Browns, and I was going to say follow what the league does. And so then I don't think that he'll play at least. I think he'll miss this entire season. Now it's just, I guess that the argument would be the NFL, would be able to find all of this stuff out and should within their organization. And honestly, the Browns should have, found this stuff out. And maybe they did and felt it just wouldn't go anywhere. But now it's just becoming one after another. And it doesn't necessarily change everything, Doug, but it changes the perception of how he's viewed now that this stuff is coming out public. And so for the NFL, they cannot go light on this. So I don't think it's going to be a partial suspension. I think he'll miss the entire year. And maybe that's not heavy. I don't know. I mean, but everything that I've thought 8 games was what I thought in my head, and I've heard other people say 6 or 8. But now I think they'll have no choice to at least suspend him for an entire season.
I don't think there's – you and I are completely in lockstep. Completely in lockstep. I think the question will become, is even a season enough? And,
I don't even know. Like
I don't know. I don't – and I understand Amy Dash came on yesterday. She's our legal analyst, and her point is, and on some levels I agree with it, which is you can't get into the second the NFL got into this business of, hey, we're going to, police our players. But the reality is that's where we are. That's where we are. So you can't go like, okay, we're washing our hands of this. There's no criminal charges when so many others have been suspended for things that didn't rise to the level of criminality. But this one, he's the first 5-year guaranteed no-cut quarterback contract. He's a franchise-level player. It's way too big a story to just 8 games, bury it, goes away. You've been too lenient in the past. All these things are working against him, and dude's got a problem. Got a problem. So, I don't know. Yeah, well, go ahead.
For the Browns to do this deal, I mean, listen, number one,
how bad do they look?
Atrociously bad. And the Texans, and this is, and I'm not trying to give them a pass for the part of where apparently they knew more than they let on, and that they have said about Watson's dealings. So I'm not trying to give them a free pass there. But with knowing that Watson is kind of this guy, that at least an employee knew about it, according to the New York Times, knew about it enough to give Watson an NDA to try to give to a massage therapist so she wouldn't say anything. Knowing that was kind of his history, to sit there and say, all right, we'll wait for a team to give us how many picks and then the Browns to go and do it. I mean, my goodness. I don't want to give the Texans a pat on the back for enabling this sort of stuff, but to actually know this stuff is going on and then still be willing to hold on to them and want the asking price of draft picks that they got.
Well, first, they knew this stuff was going on when they started asking for the draft picks, right? I mean, that's the –
yeah.
Okay. So, but so that part, in regards to the NDA, again, there's some plausible deniability there because what apparently happened is part of this. There was whether it's team relationship, there was at least one massage therapy place that he had used that had some level of a relationship with the team. It wasn't like the official sports massage, but there was somebody that, booked through the Texans or whatever. So I would also guess, again, I'm just guessing that the heads of security for NFL teams having a one-off accusation of something out of the ordinary is not crazy, right? Like having an NDA, I don't personally have an NDA in my top drawer, but I'm also not head of security for an NFL team.
Sure.
So, again, I think it reads worse than the reality likely is, right? When the reality likely is, like, hey, if we set up this massage therapy appointment and she's making some accusations, hey, man, you got an NDA? Like, can we just make this thing go away? Yeah, I got one. I got one from a team lawyer or whatever. So I don't think that's as crazy as it reads. It's not. You're not as compliant. You're not. What's the word I'm looking for? You're not as complicit. Thank you. You're not as complicit as it may read. That said, I do think somebody knew what was going. There had to be, right? Somebody knew something.
Yeah, like, and that was like the part of it is when he is not willing to play for them and he wants out. Like, this stuff was kind of going on, so he doesn't play all of last year, and the Texans are like, nope, we're not going to trade him. We knew this stuff, to your point, we knew this stuff was going on, that these accusations were there, but he can also claim his innocence and be like, this was all consensual, and maybe they take his word for it, but to have, to at least have one employee be like, okay, we kind of know maybe what's going on and still be able to stick to their guns, pretty crazy.
The whole thing is crazy. Ramos, as a fan, let's say this is Matt Stafford. Do you think he should play?
No, and I agree with Dan. At first, we thought it was going to be 6 games, and as this continues to go further and further, I think the season is definitely not out of the question. And which is interesting too, because the whole Baker Mayfield thing, there's always that talk why can't they get rid of Baker Mayfield? Why hasn't they taken him? Oh, his stock's gone down. Oh, this is not. Maybe it's because they realize that this guy's not going to play the whole season, and they don't have any other quarterback to back him up. I mean, then does Baker Mayfield want to play for the Cleveland Browns now after what they've done to him?
They do have Jacoby Brissett.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to throw you, John.
No.
I hear
that's fine.
I said the Jacoby Brissett thing earlier. Yeah, I mean, I think that's why Jacoby Brissett is there. Is he's the guy. I think Baker's time is up. I think he's done with them. This comes down to, though, a massive miscalculation of how all of us would hear it. And, look, I've done this before. I don't think I've done it with at Fox Sports Radio. But one of the things is I thought the video of why am I forgetting? What was the running back? Ray Rice. I thought the Ray Rice video was important. Why? That's what it looks like. You want to see how disgusting domestic violence looks like? That's what it looks like. Right, so it's important for us not to have this is what it actually the violence against women. This is what it looks like. Okay, because a lot of these things we don't know and experience in our own lives. And again, I Rusty Harden kind of painting the picture on one level. Then you read it and you read the volume of it. You're just, but I think it's important for us to talk about this, that it is something that apparently exists on a more regular basis than you and I would like to know or admit. Again, it has not happened to me. I have had massages before. That has not happened. I have not asked nor received. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I haven't had buddies tell me that it happened, or it be part of the just regular culture, in that there are places you go, massage therapists you can get, that this is what they do. But the more details come out, the worse the Browns look. And it just looks like they haphazardly said, we have to have this football player come hell or high water. What will it take? And they went and actually did it. And I think they're the biggest dopes in this whole thing. Like, Deshaun Watson comes off looking like a creep. Rusty Harden comes off looking like Denny Crane. But the Browns just look like a clown organization. I'm not saying Baker Mayfield is great, and he is imminently replaceable. But Baker hadn't had anything off the football field, and this one's just of course it's especially interesting and poignant during this era, which there is a reckoning for actions of the past. It's bad, so bad.